Welcome. I want to apologize for the noise. I think one of my neighbors are busy blowing leaves. But anyway, uh, you would have seen me do these castings on my shorts. And this is what I need to build a tailstock for my rotary table. Now this is going to be a multi-part series because there's way too much work for one video. So what I'm going to do now is mostly the lathe work, because lathe is a lot quicker than the milling machine, and because of the draft angles around 3 degrees on these parts, it's fairly difficult to hold it in a vise and get it to sit square. Now with the 4-jaw chuck, it's much easier because you've got 4 points of contact and none of them are necessarily parallel. So my idea here is to do the cleanup on the larger faces on these parts here, and like this one here in the back. As you can see, there's almost nothing square here, except for this face maybe, but it's still rocking a bit. Now if you put it in a chuck, because of the small amount of contact that you've got on the jaws, it's easier to get it to seat and to sit flat. If you've got little rises like this, you can rotate it to avoid it. And then yeah, let's get this thing up and running. In this video I'll be mostly focusing on the base, and then on other videos I'll do the rest. This part is quite decent in the middle here where the gate was, as there was metal setting kits around the gate, and I've touched off to the tool in the lower spot that I could find, and that was, I need to clean up around 2 millimeters. Now the part is the width of it is around 30 millimeters more or less, and I'm gonna take it down, clean it up to a specific size, bring in the other part, do the same on the same face, and then turn it around, do the next part, the one which I deem the worst of the two, and then bring them up to the same thickness. Now I'm not going to work to a specific size, I just want the two parts to be equal. Okay, in order to determine which one I'm going to do next, I need to find out which one is the worst of the two. Now, as you can see, the new machine faces are flat. Now, looking at this one, I've got around about a 3mm gap there. And when I swap two parts around, I've got a bit of rock here on this end here, which is around 1mm. So which leaves me with this one. So this one will be my reference part. So once I've cleaned this section up and get this bow out, then I'll have my thickness, and I'll zero my DRO and bring this one up to the same width. And purely by accident, it landed up in a round number, which is 26mm. So I'm happy with that. Okay, I've got the base clamped in the forejaw. Now, as you can see, I've clamped it on the sides here. The reason for that is because of these cutouts here. I'm unable to clamp it on the straight edges. I've got my base set up on the pallet, and I've edge found in the center of the channel. So I've got center there, and I've edge found in a recess here. Now what I'm going to do is to mill out this recess on both ends, and to cut the slot where the bolt is supposed to drop down to size. And then once that is done, I can remove my engineer's parallel to remove the clamps, and then use the two bolts to clamp it down. Okay, I've reclamped the base onto my pallet using this recesses, which I've just cleaned up now. And I found center. So I've got access to the channel and to the two top surfaces where the columns are going to rest on. Okay, surface finish looks very good. And the slot in here is 31 millimeters wide. And these two risers are around about 38.5 to 38.8 millimeters in width. It's not perfectly square, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to take up a cleanup cut on the sides when I'm done, just to give me a reference if I want to turn the block around and work from that side. Now what I'm going to do is in the center of these blocks, I'm going to work on a basis that it's 38 millimeters wide. I'm going to cut two recesses or two steps in it to create a boss that will be locating into the uprights so that it avoids any twisting movements. Now from the center, it's 15.5 plus the 19 millimeters, so it's 34.5 millimeters that I'm doing a step over from the center. So I keep my absolute on my DRO, step it over 34.5, and then zero it on my incremental setting. And from there on, I can work out my step over to the sides. Now, in this case, I want this riser in the middle to be 21 millimeters wide, so that I can get a 10 millimeter bolt through the middle without touching the sides. So yeah, plain and simple. Okay, I've got the base mounted upside down on my pallet. I've drilled the holes through on my drill press, so I'm done with that portion. I've done that off camera. Now I've got a 10mm pin, which I'm dropping down the first hole. Now this will be my reference. Now I'm going to counterbore it so that the normal M10 cap screw will sit in flush or below the surface on this side of the block. Well, the first part of my bolt is done. As you can see, there's my counterbores. Now I've got a little bit of voids here in the back, but it doesn't matter because I've got enough surface contact to sit flat on my milling table. And everything else on top is fine. There's some little bit of inclusions there. I haven't cleaned up this aluminium as much as I would have liked. But because I was pouring the entire crucible into the moldings, I've expected some of the dross to follow it, because there's always a little bit of dross stuck in the sides of the crucible that comes loose as soon as you pour it. But other than that, I'm happy with the dimensions here. I'm thinking I'm going to have a nice tight fit on the other parts, and it should locate neatly. Now it's done around, basically cleaned up these edges with the ball mill, R3 or 3mm radius ball mill, and that just finishes up a little bit and gives me the register here. This side I'll do as soon as I've got my risers mounted and I can see how much I need to remove, because the riser still needs to be cleaned up and it's going to be narrower. So yeah, I'm happy with this thing. Hope you enjoyed it. Looks complex, but it's not that. It's fairly simple. Alright, until next time. Cheers.